Hi everyone, it's Miss Shakimia here, and I'm excited to learn with you today. I've been thinking a lot about similarities and differences, and how I can compare two or more things. Like, how would you compare a day at the beach to a day in the park? I heard lots of possibilities for how a day spent at these two places would be different. Like at the park, I would be playing on the playground or walking under some nice leafy shade trees. But at the beach, I would be swimming in the water with the sun beating down on me and no trees in sight. What about some things that a day in the park and a day in the beach would have in common? Good ideas. I was thinking about how when I spend the day at either the park or the beach, I'm outside, and also how I love to have picnic lunches in both places. Today, we are going to apply our compare and contrasting skills to look at the similarities and differences between two fables, the wind and the sun, and the lion and the mouse. I'm going to quickly recount these two fables before we dig into our compare and contrast discussion. In The Wind and the Sun, our characters, Wind and Sun, were in a park on a beautiful day when the wind started arguing that they were stronger than the sun. In order to determine who was stronger, the boastful wind challenged the calm, gentle sun to a competition. The winner of the competition had to get a man in the park to remove his jacket. Although the wind blew aggressively, they were not able to get the jacket off the man. On the other hand, the sun continued to beam brightly and warmly on the man until the man took off his jacket. And even though the wind acted like a sore loser, the sun never said an unkind word. So the moral of the story is, it's much easier to persuade someone to do something by being gentle and kind. Now that I've recounted the wind and the sun, listen as I recount the lion and the mouse. A lion was napping on a beautiful day in the forest when a mouse mistakenly scurried up the lion's back and woke him up. The lion captured the mouse and only let the mouse go when it begged for its life. The mouse promised that she would repay the lion, although the lion thought it was highly unlikely that the mouse could ever do so. Then, a few days later, the lion got caught in a hunter's trap and let out an angry roar that the mouse overheard. The mouse found the lion and gnawed through the ropes of the hunter's trap in order to set the lion free. So the moral of that story is, kindness is always rewarded and everyone can be helpful. Now that we have recounted our two fables, we will be able to compare and contrast the stories. When we compare and contrast, we are highlighting similarities, which are the things that the texts have in common, and differences, which are the things that are different between the texts. There are 5 story elements that we will be comparing and contrasting. First, characters. Second, setting. Third, problem. Fourth, the solution. And finally, the moral or the lesson. When we are thinking about the characters, we want to think about what they look like as well as what they think, say, and how they act. For example, 2 stories might both be about a big red dog that is brave. When thinking about the setting, we want to identify where and when the story takes place. The problem and solution are what happened to the characters and how the problem was solved. And finally, the moral is the lesson learned from a story or experience. We will be using this graphic organizer to help us stay organized as we revisit both stories. Notice that there is a column for each story. That's where we will write the differences. There is also a column that says both. That is where we will write the similarities. We will scan and identify key details from the story in order to find their similarities and differences. I have my compare and contrast chart ready to go, so let's get started. The first task is to find the similarities and differences of the main characters in each story. Watch me as I recall the main characters from each story and record it on the chart. Remember, we want to discuss the characters' physical appearances and who they are on the inside. In The Wind and the Sun, the main characters were Sun and Wind. The sun was very warm and kind. The wind was very boastful and pushy. The main characters and The Lion and the Mouse were Lion and Mouse. Lion was prideful and foolish, while Mouse was helpful and brave. Well, after thinking about the characters, I would say that physically, the characters from each story are different. So I would write physical appearance in the boxes for differences. I'm also going to list the characters' names. However, some of the character traits were very similar across the two stories. Sun and Mouse have the character traits of being kind and helpful in common. I'm going to write that in the both box. The Wind and Lion were aggressive toward the other characters in each of their stories, so I'm going to write that in the both box as well. That's interesting, that the characters in each story had similar character traits. Now let's move on to the setting. I'm going to take a look back at the wind and the sun to figure out the setting. The text says, "A beautiful day in the park." As I look back at The Lion and the Mouse, I see that this story takes place on a beautiful day in the forest. Both stories happen on a beautiful day, but different locations. I'm going to write the locations for each story under the correct title, and in the both box, I'm going to write beautiful day. Did you see what I just did? I revisited each story to fill in our chart with similarities and differences for each. I noticed that these two stories have more in common than I expected. We're going to continue, but now it's your turn. I need your help in determining the similarities and differences between the two stories' problems, solutions, and morals. We're going to start with the problem. What was the problem in The Wind and the Sun? That's right. The problem was that the wind and the sun were trying to determine who was stronger. Great job. Now let's think about The Lion and the Mouse. What was the problem? Right again. The problem was that Lion got caught in a trap. So after thinking about the problem for both stories, are they similar or different? Yes, these are very different problems, so we simply need to write them in the boxes under each story title. You all are doing such an outstanding job. Let's move right along. Let's go back and identify the solutions for each story. First up, The Wind and the Sun. What was the solution? You're on a roll. The solution was that the sun won the competition because she was shining brighter and brighter, making the man so warm that he took off his coat. Now think about The Lion and the Mouse. What was that solution? Right again. The solution was that Mouse gnawed the rope to set Lion free. Now let's think. Are these solutions similar or different? What do you think? I think you're right. These solutions are different, so we need to write them under each story title because they are not the same. The last topic to compare and contrast is the moral of each story. Think about the moral of The Wind and the Sun. Now think about the moral of The Lion and the Mouse. Do you think these morals are similar or different? I'm going to share my thinking, and if you had the same thought, show me your fireworks. Okay, I think that the morals are similar because both stories teach us about the importance of being kind and never underestimating anyone. Both the Wind and Lion underestimated the other characters and thought they were better than them. The Wind and Lion both learned valuable lessons. Looks like some of you were thinking this too. Great, let's write the morals in the both box. Here is our chart, all filled in. Wow, it looks like these two stories had quite a bit in common. We have accomplished another goal, so let's go ahead and, you guessed it, let's celebrate. On 3, I want you to kiss your brains. 1, 2, 3. Today, we compared and contrasted two stories from the same genre of fables. Remember that when we compare and contrast, we are simply discussing the similarities and differences between two or more texts. We can use this strategy along with our graphic organizer for any two stories that we are reading. I'll even let you in on a little secret. You can even compare and contrast movies and TV shows. So I challenge you to practice comparing and contrasting with your favorite stories, movies, or shows at home. I've really enjoyed learning with you today. Until next time, see ya.